everybody, today doing a video on repairing holes in the walls created by drywall anchors. These little boogers cause a lot of damage. I'm sure if you used a drywall anchor before to hang a picture or something in the wall, they work great until they actually fell. When they fell, they cause a lot of damage. Most of the times you use a drywall anchor to hang pictures on the wall, something on the wall. But when you're using stuff like towel bars, toilet paper holders, curtain rods, anything that you're pulling and tugging on constantly, eventually that drywall anchor is going to pull out of the sheetrock. Sheetrock in the wall is only ½ inch thick, so even the best drywall anchors are going to eventually pull out. I probably get a call once a week to fix something like this, where the drywall anchor pulls out of the wall, causing more damage than originally thought it would. It would have been just easier just to try to screw this into the wall, and if the screw pulled out, at least you'd have a small nail hole or screw hole to fix. Once that drywall anchor, these screw-in ones like this especially, pull out, they pull the sheetrock out with it. On this, it was a towel bar, a basic towel bar that was in the bathroom. And of course, if there's kids involved, teenagers in a house, they're always pulling and tugging, not thinking twice about things. They're real rough with stuff. It's just common. Kids do it all the time. I've gone to people's houses. I see towel bars pull out of walls all the time. It's the most common job in the house. And you probably have one of these anchor holes in your wall right now as we speak. But simple things like this, when they do install the towel bars or toilet paper holders or whatever, it's hard to get the center of the stud for the brackets. Most studs in the houses are 24 center. Sometimes they do 16 center. Usually exterior type walls are 16 center on the framing. Interior walls, bedroom walls and stuff like that, they usually go 24 centers. But of course, they're never going to be centered. Nothing's ever perfect. Framing's never laid out how it should. So it's hard to do both sides screwed in with this towel bar. Looks like the left side was screwed into the stud, but the right side here was drywall anchored with these screw-in anchors. Sure, it held up many years, but eventually it failed. All it takes is one kid in the house pulling on the towel, hanging from it, who knows, but it's going to fail and it causes a lot of damage. This hole here, you can see that we pulled the towel bar out. We could have probably filled in this hole just with mud and tape and called it a day, but we're actually going to cut this out and replace it with sheetrock. So we're just going to basically do a patching process. You want to cut out the area past the repair, try to get some wood backing in there if possible, get some sheetrock in there, put some screws in. We like to do fiberglass mesh tape. Always use a fiberglass mesh tape on your drywall repairs. I know there's other tapes out there, paper tapes, infusion tapes, this tape, that tape. Just use a fiberglass mesh tape for your repairs. It makes some repairs always come out better, easier. It's fail proof if you use a fiberglass mesh tape. Other tapes you might have to do this or do that, so it's just easier to use a fiberglass mesh tape. Get it all sheetrock, get it all fiberglass tape, then we're going to follow through and do a first coat with a 5-minute quick setting mud. Of course, if this is your project, just go use an all-purpose joint compound. At least with the all-purpose joint compound, you let it dry overnight, sand it, sand away your mistakes. If it's too heavy, you can sand it down and then follow through with the second coat. If need be, if it's still deep after your second coat, do a tight third coat using a joint compound. But on this, I'm going to get it coated. I'm going to leave it kind of heavy with a 5-minute mud, and then I'm going to slick it out, and then I'm going to follow through with a joint compound. Also, you're going to see I have the video the next day where after the joint compound smooth skim coat set up, I went through and sanded it. I'm going to use a sanding block, or you can use like 150 to 220 grit sandpaper, and that's it. Then you can turn around and primer, then paint. But you always want to let the mud texture dry overnight. Most textures, if not all textures, you have to sand before you paint. There's a few textures you don't sand, like a splatter or orange peel, those don't ever get sanded or you'll knock them down. But these smooth type textures like this, Santa Fe Smooth, Skim Smooth walls always have to be sanded out before you primer and paint. But yeah, and then you're going to also see at the end of the video, there's other towel bar styles that I'm going to actually use. These are single screw, so you can catch them right on the stud. You don't have to worry about catching a second stud. So it's easier whenever you do new towel bars or these brackets. Maybe use these single style screw-in type brackets. This lever type action you'll see at the end of the video. This is what I recommend using. This is my personal house. So this is what I have in my house. And that's just years of figuring out fixing holes that use these single hooks are a lot easier because they can drill them directly into the stud. When you drill stuff into the stud, you can pull and tug on it all you want. It's not going to rip out of the wall, causing all this damage where now you're going to have to patch it, mud it, texture it, sand it, primer, and paint. So if you ever are in the market of buying new towel bars, just think about that before you buy a new towel bar. Some of the towel bars out there are really nice, but these single bracket ones, holders, work great. Also, if you go hang curtains, toilet paper holders, try to get ones that are going to go right into the stud. Drywall anchors on stuff that you're pulling and tugging on, that's just last resort thing. Everybody thinks you just put anchors in, screw it in the wall, you're good to go. It works good for pictures that you put on there one time and just leave it, but when you're pulling and tugging, this is what's going to happen. Drywall anchors are bad news, especially around kids, teenagers, people that pull and tug on the walls. This is what happens. It rips out, causes a lot of damage. A small little anchor now turned into a 1x2 patch. When it's all painted, I might have to even primer and paint most of this wall to blend it in if they don't have the matching paint. But yeah, simple video like this, fixing drywall anchors, this is the process. Thanks for viewing.